So they've basically prepared you for the fact that your 9-year-old daughter has got some really serious injuries, and that she has to be air flighted. Where were they talking about air flighting her?
They couldn't find a place to air flight her, and they couldn't use a helicopter because the weather was too bad.
They would be the closest big hospital in Eau Claire, or
the closest
Minneapolis?
hospital with neurosurgeons, traumatic brain injury surgeons or neurosurgeons would have been, our options were Duluth, Minnesota, Marshfield, Wisconsin, Madison, St. Luke's Children's Hospital down in Milwaukee. At that weekend, it just happened to be the Pediatric Neurosurgeons Brain Injury Conference or something like that in Hawaii. So the whole state was pretty much emptied out of pediatric surgeons. And the physician came up to me, she says, I'm pulling every string I can. She says, they do not have a pediatric neurosurgeon on staff, but there's 2, 3, and 3-year interns and a adult traumatic neurosurgeon on staff down at Madison that are willing to take your case as soon as she can get down. And at that time also, I had heard that my husband was on his way coming in on the next transport ambulance, and we had called all the family in, and I had called my sister up. I had called Laura, and I said, Laura, I can remember just telling her that I don't think she's going to make it. You need to get here now if you want to see her. I said, I think that's the way it's going to happen. So.
All right, you just made a slight reference to your husband. It's the first time you mentioned your husband. What do you mean your husband's coming in on the next transport?
Well, she was the most emergent case at the time. And my husband had been in and out of consciousness and talking and out again, but he was trapped in the vehicle and couldn't get out. So they needed a different rescue system to get him out of that side of the truck. And it took him, it seemed like forever, to get in to the hospital where they were going to assess his injuries and figure out if they had to move him as well.
You are how far from the hospital when you get the phone call?
I am 17 minutes from the hospital.
You know that because you drive there every
yes.
day.
Right.
She gets there before you, but not much?
Correct.
She's actually in the ER when you walk in, where the pile of clothes was.
Right.
She's actually in the ER.
Yes.
She's not put in ICU yet.
I probably wasn't at the hospital more than 2 minutes before I was able to see her.
And you got to see her perhaps just because nobody was paying enough attention, and they didn't really want you in the room.
No,
as it turned
they
out?
wanted me in the room.
They did?
Yeah,
all right.
That's why that friend of mine was able to bring me in, because he checked with the ER staff and they said to bring her.
When did you find out that your husband was hurt too?
Well, I actually knew about it, but the gentleman who was in the vehicle with us didn't mention much about his injuries, just because he was coherent and in and out. And so I don't think he felt like he was hurt as bad as he was.